Welcome home, brave heroes and Kai Lords alike. I'm Ash, this is AshQuest, and today we continue Tome Tuesday with another reading from Lone Wolf, Flight from the Dark, by Joe Dever. Book 1 of the Kai series. We are about to engage in battle with the mighty and deadly Gorgaz. But before we begin, just a reminder that all tips for gameplay are very much appreciated in the comments below. However, please refrain from spoiling any choices that could have been made or the results of any given choice, for I do wish to play this book again in the future. And now it is time. This creature is immune to Mind Blast, has a combat skill of 20 and an endurance of 30. We will need to keep track of the Gorgaz's help, and in doing so, I will use 5 6-sided dice, with the pips all set to 6. 20 combat skill is quite high for an enemy, and I only have 17. But I do possess the Warhammer, and I have combat skill bonus of +2 because I have weapon skill with the Warhammer. So that brings my combat skill up to 19. I have another weapon which I will put on my action sheet. It is the Prince's Broadsword. If I lose the Warhammer, I'll be able to use this broadsword, and it gives me an additional 2 to my combat skill because it is a masterfully crafted weapon. I don't even need to have the weapon skill of sword or broadsword in order to be able to wield it. So we'll put a +2 there just in case anything ever happens to my Warhammer, or if I just want to wield the sword. And we will begin our combat by simply rolling the 10-sided die over and over and over while we refer to the combat ratio table. Now I've got a combat skill total of 19 and the Gorgaz has 20, so that puts me at a disadvantage of 1. So all of the numbers that I roll will be calculated using this column. Or rather, the results will be calculated using the numbers that I roll. So here we go for our first bout of combat. It's a 3. That is a pretty terrible roll, and it results in both of us losing 4 endurance points. This is not going to be a fun battle at all. Now we are using a couple of homebrew rules here, one of which is the save system, another of which is the rolling of the 10-sided die, which is actually an optional rule that is recommended by the book or the new edition of the book from HomeGuard Press. But I'm going to kind of accentuate where I'm leaving off by drawing a line under this 23, which refers to my endurance points. That's going to let me know if I happen to die in this battle that I can restart with 23 endurance points and try again. The save system homebrew is in place to help protect me from dying to poor choices made in the books, but not necessarily to save scum, as they call it during combat. I will attempt to fight the Gorgaz 3 times, and if I can't best him in combat 3 times, I will take the alternative path way back in the book, where I will go along the forest road instead of going to the Alama Bridge. It will be a great tragedy to do that, but due to the random nature of the rolls, that is how things will be done. So, 2, and then I lose 4, which brings me to 19. He has a substantial amount of endurance points, and a substantial amount more than I do. Second bout of combat, let's go. That is a 1. That is a 1. A terrible roll. And it means, according to the combat results table, that I am going to lose 5 endurance points while the Gorgaz loses only 2. Well, at least the Gorgaz loses something. And I'm now down to 17. Not liking this at all. Not liking this one bit. If only I had munitions. If only I had something to throw at him that would explode. And now for the third bout of combat. Let's see if I can keep from rolling anything terrible again. It's a 3. And we're not doing mulligans. We're going to carry out this combat exactly as it is rolled. So with the 3, we are back to a result of each of us losing 4. I can't go on like this, it's clear. So, 13 endurance points left on my character. It's rough. It is definitely a rough battle. Bad start for sure. Another roll, another round of combat. It is a 2. This is unreal. And frankly, my hopes are dashed at this point. With a roll of 2, the combat results table shows that the enemy loses 3 endurance points, and I lose 5. I am down to 8 endurance points at this point. Not looking good. So we've changed the health of the Gorgas. He is sitting at, I think, 17 now, yeah. And we're going to engage in another roll. All I have rolled for the past 5 or 6 rolls now, it's been 1s, 2s, or 3s. Is this a trend that's going to continue? Let's find out. An 8. Finally, this roll is on the upper end of this 10-sided die. An 8 means that my enemy loses 9 endurance points and I lose 1. This is a step in the right direction. This is promising. We will take away the 6, and we will remove 2 from this 5, giving us a total of 9 endurance points left for the Gorgas. It still has more than I do. It is still a terrible opponent. We are still locked in deadly combat. And a 0. The 0 is the most promising strike of all. It is the last result on the table, and it means that the enemy loses 11 endurance points while the player loses none. Fellow Kai lords, the Gorgas has been vanquished. Vanquished! And I have 7 endurance points left with which to continue my adventure from this point. As challenging as it may be, we're going to save with our result being that we have defeated the Gorgas. We will turn to 82. And I've never read this before because that's the first time I've ever defeated that enemy. The massive Gorgas crashes dead at your feet, gushing green blood from the mortal wound you have opened in its chest. Its evil followers hiss at you with anger and spite, but then their bravado suddenly evaporates, and they flee the Durnstone, turning and running in a chaotic mass toward the safety of the Alamimiter. Quickly, the prince's bodyguards regroup to form a protective wall with their shields around you and their wounded leader. Black arrows whistle past your head, parting shots from the hateful enemy. The dying prince looks up into your eyes and says, "Brave young Kai, we came as quickly as haste would allow. The enemy flee, yet they will return, stronger than before. Though we shall deny them a crossing here, they will march upon Holmgard by the longer road." His life is fading. Prince Pelithar spends his last breath to say, "Take a message to my father. The king must seek that which is in Durinor, or all is lost. Take my horse and ride from my father's citadel. Go quickly, brave Kai. Ride like the wind. May the luck of the gods ride with you." You bid a sad farewell to the prince. If you possess Solnaris, the prince's broadsword, you decide to give it back to its legitimate owner. Delete it from your action chart. Mount his white steed and head south along the forest path. The battle still rages behind you as the prince's men fight off another assault on the massive bridge. Turn to 235. That's quite a shame, I suppose. I was gifted that just in case I was going to have that much trouble with the Gorgas. I rather didn't like that he was immune to my mind blast. But 235 it is. Prince, are you sure you don't want me to keep the sword? I can deliver it to your father along with the message. Never mind. The prince's horse is indeed a magnificent animal, fast and sure of foot. You gallop along the forest highway until the noise of battle has disappeared far behind you. You are hungry and must eat a meal during your ride, or lose 3 endurance points. Now, I have meals, but there's no reason really for me to eat one when instructed to do so, because I actually have the Kai skill of hunting. So, just to be stubborn, that is something I'll take advantage of, and I'll actually keep the 2 meals that I have. After several miles, the woodland highway comes eventually to a junction where two smaller roads head away in opposite directions. There is a wooden signpost lying beside the road. It has recently been hacked down and defaced so that the destinations are no longer legible. If you wish to use your Kai discipline of tracking, which I cannot do, if you do not possess the skill, you can leave this junction and follow the highway to the left by turning to 32, or you can continue by way of the highway heading off to your right by turning to 146. Now I'm currently at 235, so that is where I will need to save my game, and that is only because I suspect it's possible to take a wrong turn at Albuquerque here and wind up dying immediately. Let's go to... Actually, let's see if the map can give us any clues. So I may be missing something, but I actually do not see any reference to the Alamo Bridge anywhere on the map. And I read that it's about a day's worth of ride from Holmgard to the north. So I may be somewhere around this area here. If I go left, I think that would take me to Toron. If I go right, that could take me to Anskaven. We shall find out. We shall find out. And we'll find out by going to the right and turning to 146. You have ridden about a mile when you are knocked from your horse by an arrow grazing your forehead. You lose 3 endurance points. Oh no. As you pull yourself to your feet, you see a patrol of Drakarim emerge from the woods on either side of the road. You have been ambushed and must evade them as quickly as possible by going into the forest. Turn to 154. 3 endurance points more puts me at 4. I will not be saving my game again just yet. We'll go to 154 and see where this leads. You are dizzy from your wound, and you stumble through the trees like a blind man. Suddenly you fall forward as if the ground has been snatched from beneath your feet. You have fallen headfirst into a hunting pit. As you look up, you can see 4 Drakarim leveling their bows at you, evil sneers spreading simultaneously across their ugly faces. As the world darkens, the last thing you feel is the black shafts of their arrows deep in your chest. You have failed in your mission. That is a death. We'll put a little skull in the corner of my character sheet, my action chart, and we will continue from our saved point at 235. This time, choosing the other way. We'll be following the highway to the left by turning to 32. You have ridden about 3 miles along this timberland trail when, in the distance, you spot the unmistakable silhouette of 5 large doom wolves. Riding on their backs are gyaks. They seem to be going on ahead to where the path leads down into an open meadow. Suddenly, one of the gyaks leaves the others and begins to ride back along the path toward you. If you wish to hide in the undergrowth and let him pass, turn to 176. If you wish to fight him, turn to 340. I have 7 endurance points left, but it's just a single gyak and a doom wolf. Let's fight him. I don't want to give him any sort of chance to call to the others. We're going to turn to 340. We're going to make this challenging for ourselves. You gallop forward to meet the oncoming doom wolf and rider, your weapon raised to strike. The gyak sees you and unsheaths his scimitar. You must fight both Gyak and Doomwolf as one enemy. Alright, with a combat skill of 14 and an endurance of 24 versus my combat skill of 17 plus 2 Mind Blast plus 2 Warhammer, I have a combat skill of 21 advantage. With a plus 7, every round of combat will result in one of these entries for the plus 7 plus 8 column. That is magnificent. Let's keep track of the health of our enemy by using the 6-sided dice again. And there we go, 24 endurance. I can't wait to lay waste to this opponent and not die even once. And that's a roll of 4. After my last battle, that is still very unfortunate. And yet I suppose it should be fine. We only lose 2 endurance points, while the enemy loses 10. with that calculation out of the way, we are down to 5. And I'll just hang on a minute before I write the result down, since I'm still engaged in combat. Come on, we're going to roll high and destroy this enemy. That's a 2. That is a 2. This die is probably going to go in a dunce chair. So the 2 brings us to us losing 3 endurance points and the enemy losing 8. That's going to bring us down to 2 endurance points left. I do have a potion. I would like to hang on to that. So we'll go ahead and get rid of the enemy's 8 endurance points, and we will roll one more time. If the gods are good, I will either destroy him in this last hit and suffer no damage, or he will completely murder my character, and I will have to start the battle over by resuming from my saved point. And it is a 5. And this 5 results in, unfortunately, my player character losing his last 2 endurance points. Killing him, just Lone Wolf dies, because it looks like, according to the combat rules, we do subtract our endurance points first, which is what I thought. It was either first or at the same time. We shall begin combat over again. Even though this is not exactly where I would have left off, I'd still take the road to get to this exact point, and we can go ahead and consider this our saved spot, or at least the section right before it, because I would like to combat this Gak and this Doom Wolf, and I would like to win my combat against them, because I enjoy having this feeling of having such an advantage with my combat skill. I think I should be able to do this and not roll 1s, 2s, and 3s. We henceforth try again with the exact same amount of combat skill advantage, and now with their endurance points reset to 24 and mine to 7. Let's try again with our first round of combat. And it's a 0, which that die thinks that the 0 is a bad roll, but it actually gave me the best possible roll. With an advantage of 7 and 8, the player character loses no endurance points, and the enemy is automatically killed. All 24 endurance points gone. I cannot think of a better outcome than that. That is exactly what I had hoped would happen. I won the fight, and I will now turn to 193, but not before putting another little skull on my action chart. So, we will now go to 193. The beast and its rider lie dead. You notice a scroll tucked into the Gak's belt. You may take this if you wish, but remember to mark it on your action chart as a backpack item. The other Doom Wolves are charging along the path toward you. If you wish to fight them, turn to 253. If you wish to escape into the woods, turn to 126. Interesting. I guess I'll go ahead and write down that I have the scroll. That'll be the 5th item in my repertoire. And I will now save at page 193. Those of you who are keen-eyed noticed I do have a potion that will restore 4 endurance points. I am choosing to not use that yet. So, all right, brave Kai heroes. I must stop here, but we will continue this reading next Tome Tuesday. I'm really happy with the way that this is going. I am really having a lot of fun with this particular playthrough. I know that there's a lot left to do, so I'm pretty interested to see where this adventure will go, what with all of the fights I've already been in and all of the spoils I've kind of already collected. Until next time, brave Kai Lords and heroes alike, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. That was redundant. Bye for now.